Hi, I'm ConeMan, and I want to talk about my favorite card game, Chaotic. Or more accurately, Chaotic in VR. And I wanted to make this video a long time ago when the revival was announced, but due to life, social obligations, my own technical limitations, it just didn't end up happening. In fact, the Quest 2 didn't even exist yet, and now with an announcement that's supposed to be happening any day now, I wanted to go ahead and get my 2 cents out there. So I figured a watered down version of a watered down version is better than nothing. But however, to the point, I wanted to talk about this Chaotic VR for a long time and what it could look like, and the best options for a Chaotic VR. Now, a former dev did talk about VR with a little bit of disdain for the medium, and that it's not happening after VR was said to be a possibility in a trade show interview. Now, for the dev's statements, I do hope that this is more of a misspeak, and that the VR idea has just been shelved with a chance of rediscussion down the line, and not just completely trashed entirely. As VR is an amazing medium and has been evolving ever since. And his posts also feel just a little misguided. And the same vein of saying that animation is just for kids. But it is hard to blame him, as most popular uses of VR was used as a toy for quick tech demos needing expensive VR-ready PCs. Very few had the drive or the know-how to make full games or useful applications. Now, that is not to say that they weren't out there. In fact, that the programs I'm using right now were out there, or at the very least, a version of them. So they were all out there, just most people didn't know they existed, or weren't even looking for them. But I am rambling. Maybe we should go ahead and get to the point and look at what a VR Chaotic could be. The obvious first option would be to just bring the show to life with the battle drones, which would be an amazing concept. Imagine an arena fighter in a location between you and an opponent as creatures, duking it out, and then if you could use your own cards, that is just would be a new amazing way to play Chaotic, a great addition to play the game. However, there would be a whole slew of issues and variables to consider. So I don't think it would be the best choice for Chaotic's first steps into VR. Maybe that's something that could be discussed later down the line. But no. The very best option, I think, for Chaotic's first steps into VR, most people wouldn't even consider exciting or even needs to be in VR. But we need to first look at what VR truly excels at. And what that is creating an experience. An experience, be it action-packed, creative, frightening, or social. So I think the best option for Chaotic for their first steps in VR would just be to bring the Chaotic TCG into VR with just adding a little bit of extra pizzazz. Now, I know that doesn't sound exciting, but hear me out. This Chaotic VR is more about the social interactions with the TCG community than just the game itself, as VR has the ability to help blur the lines between online and physical interactions. For example, I have some buddies. One in California, one in Mexico, and one in New York. I consider them my closest friends, but it would be almost impossible for all of us to hang out in person. However, in VR, we could be in the same room, hanging out, playing golf.
Oh fuck, what did I spill? Oh shit, where's the hob? Oh, where's the t-shirt? Where's the dirty t-shirt?
Where's the t-shirt?
Do not have paper towels ready by books next to you.
This is America. I just blow loads wherever I want.
There you go.
You good?
Yep.
It's a very basic comment. And so on, just giving us so much more of a physical connection compared to just voice or text chat. Thanks to the mimicking of social cues.
Has Don?
Yeah.
Together? Let's not do it. Let's hug it out, buddy. Okay.
This can be applied to Chaotic by bringing the port court to reality as the main hub for Chaotic VR. Get together, hang with friends, work on decks together, spectate matches, and of course, play the game together. Emulating a local game store experience with people all over the world, of all shapes and sizes, of all walks of life, including those who may not get to have a regular LGS experience without it. Now we come to the part where I talk about how it's been watered down. I originally wanted to have a whole animated mock-up of how a Chaotic VR could work, with someone, completely animating someone's first time going through it. First time logging in, first time going to their room, the port court, a game, how that would work, but just things not wanting to work right between multiple programs, not communicating correctly, more and more issues, but again, wanting to get this out there. I'm going to go ahead and recycle some animations that I had started, as well as some screenshots and things to help try to get my point across. And hopefully, it does come across. So now, without further ado, let's take a look at how I believe something like this could work, and do our best to run through what someone's first time coming on to Chaotic would be. We of course would just start with needing to log in, and how it would do that is just give a representation as if you hadn't even logged into Chaotic yet. So you would be in a bedroom, a very basic bedroom, nothing too fancy, the only thing with a big screen on the wall for your login information. After logging in, you would find yourself in a room, a privacy room that's just for you, so that way you can do things like cosmetics, invite a friend so you can trade without having, just people around you, as well as build decks. Now we get to the deck editor. This is where we first get to see a little bit of that pizzazz as we go through building our deck and see that it is just like how it is done in the show. But now, building a deck becomes physical. We're getting our whole bodies involved. Something as simple as building a deck becomes a whole new experience. And once we finish our deck, we're ready to go hit the dromes. So let's go ahead and head down to the port court. Now, as we get to head into the court, we get to see, a whole new things, a whole new slew of things. We get to see events that may be going on. We get to see shops, because they did mention that it would be a little bit kind of similar. Speculated that's going to be a little bit more something like the Magic the Gathering online, so that means you would be able to get cards online, so there needs to be a place for that. Looking down, you would get to see so many people. This is where that local game store experience comes into play. And we're getting to see people. They're hanging out. They're building decks. They're over here, trading, just talking, having that good time that you would be able to experience with a nice local game store. That's what we're looking for. To help build that chaotic community and get it as close to physical as possible with people all over the world. But of course, we also want to hit the dromes. So that option's there. And that's where we fully get to experience that pizzazz. Fully get to experience. Now when we finally get to the Battle Drome, this is where we finally get to see that pizzazz that separates it from just a normal game of the Chaotic Online. Now nothing doesn't seem too special at first. You got a very basic table, cards, nothing seems too crazy. But then once you select a location, select your attacking creature, that's when things all of a sudden change. The map around you changes. You're no longer in that Battle Drome you were just in. No. You're in the lava pond now. You're playing Chaotic in the lava pond. And not only that, the creatures have come to life on the board. And then once you select that attack, the creatures start to perform those attacks. Be it elemental or stat-based. Having a representation of those to go along with every card. Maybe not as robust at the beginning, but attacks can be added on. But I digress. The match will continue until back and forth until the game's concluded. And then you have a little bit of time. You can still continue to chat with the person in front of you. Maybe they can give you some tips. Maybe you can give them some tips, depending on how the game went. Maybe you can talk about your friends. Maybe you can talk about their friends and how you're going to be meeting them. Hey, maybe you can invite them to join you, or they can invite you to join them. Then maybe you just made a new group of chaotic friends. Friends that you can constantly maybe play back and forth, maybe get some good trades in from. Friends you wouldn't have met otherwise. But we also have to think about how, again, we're getting to talk to our opponent. This is something that is getting taken away from a lot of TCG. Most of them don't even have text, let alone, of course, voice. I mean, Pokemon just has emojis. You can maybe do a Yu-Gi-Oh! You get nothing. The Magic Gathering, I haven't played that in a long time. I don't remember what they got. I doubt they have text and or voice. If you want to do something like that, you got to rely on Discord. And then reaching out to find that one person you're playing with. If Chaotic really cares about the community, most likely they will at least still have chat. But it isn't quite the same level as getting to talk to someone right in front of you. So after this rough, very, very crude, watered down little example of how I believe Chaotic VR could work, I hope it illustrated some of my point of face-to-face gameplay and community gathering through the port court, giving people something more than just a text box, but something as close to physical communication as possible, with more people than they could ever meet, just like they do in the show. Hell, Tom played against someone from France, and had a normal conversation with him. And this is also something that can be played with non-VR, just PC alone. Just those PC players would not get the same kind of pizzazz. They wouldn't get that same kind of feeling of getting to look around and see what you're seeing. Of course, they can scroll around and see a little bit, but it's going to not be as awing. Getting right up there is not going to be the same. But it's still something that everyone can do. Just the VR players will be able to experience that pizzazz a little better. But yes, in conclusion, I do believe this is the easiest and best way to achieve a chaotic in VR. Models can be reused without a major conflict with gameplay, as they are there just for the pizzazz of the game, while new card models and attacks can be made later with a new creature focus down the line. And like I said, this is something that even non-VR players have the potential to use. Social applications with VR have been working for years. Let it be VR chat, Rec Room, Poker Stars, or which is now Vegas Infinite. There are tons and tons and tons of examples of PC players interacting with VR players. Even DMVR, a Yu-Gi-Oh! VR application, can be used by non-VR players. And they love it. And that is exactly also what we kind of have here. Just them playing the game. And it's just them. They're having fun, hanging out. And also VR has gotten more and more accessible with users thanks to things like standalone headsets and more companies adding to competition with the market. Lots have changed since those posts that the dev made. VR was never destined for a short 10-minute tech demo, but it needed people to put in the time and to nurture the garden. And again, VR is still used constantly and is dominated by those social experiences. A chaotic VR could work. Demio works. People like that. But, however, with that all said and done, this is not something that's needed on day one of Chaotic's return, but it would be an amazing addition, giving a breath of new life, and something that would be completely different from all the other TCGs out there. But, with all that said, I hope my point wasn't lost in this watered down version of a watered down version. And thank you for making it this far. I know I have a horrible tendency to ramble. I couldn't stick with my original script, and I was struggling, as well as ad-libbing. So again, hopefully that point wasn't lost. Thank you again. And hopefully I opened my, other people's eyes, old Chaotic fans' eyes, to the idea of how a Chaotic VR could work, and could be in a great addition. And if you've never heard of Chaotic, hopefully you'll enjoy the relaunch when it comes out any day now, regardless if there's VR or not. Thanks for watching, and stay creative.